Hey there, friend. Church D coming at you once again. Thanks for tuning into What Does It Take to Win? On this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the power of patience. Yes, patience. Now, in order to be successful, you do have to have a level of patience and probably a higher threshold of patience, as a matter of fact. Because, success, it takes a long time and there are many challenges that arise on the journey to success. So patience is definitely a virtue, as the saying goes. So let's jump right into it. What exactly is patience? How do we define patience? Well, I went on Google, like most of us do in 2018, and I found out that patience can be defined as the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. Ah, yes, good old patience. Okay, so let's jump into it. Let's break it down. Let's break down the definition, if you will. So the capacity to accept or tolerate delay. Let's look at the word delay. Now, most people, when we hear the word delay, we just think of, it's a hindrance, it's something slowing us down from reaching our goal, and it's negative. Delay doesn't always have to be negative. I'll give you an example. So let's say you're getting ready to go to work. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, you have some food, you do your morning routine. You get in your car and now you're on your way to your job. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a big truck pulls out and they're now slowing you down. They're doing 10 miles per hour in the 40 mile per hour zone. We've all been there. Now there's a delay. Now you're going to be late to your job. Maybe a few minutes, maybe up to 30 minutes, depending on what traffic is looking like. You're going crazy. You turn your radio on. You're trying to figure out what's happening on the highway. And then on the radio, you hear that there's been an accident. There's been an accident on the very route that you were supposed to be traveling. Many people may say to themselves, oh man, there's an accident. I'm going to be late to work. But those who have great patience may think to themselves, wow, this same truck that came out that slowed me down could have possibly been, a positive delay that allowed me to miss that accident. How do you know that you would not have been that person who was in that accident? And it could have been much worse, but thankfully you're safe and you're just going to be a few minutes late to your job. You don't have to fill out any accident reports or ride in an ambulance to the hospital and get checked out or, have all of these extra complications that take place. That's a good delay. Now, let's say we're not being patient. Let's say we decide, okay, we're going to pass this truck by. Let's say we're going to floor this pedal and do some illegal stuff and just get around this truck so we can get to our destination on time. Great. Now you're putting yourself at risk. You're risking a potential accident. And there could be a cop sitting there waiting for somebody like you to do that so he can pull you over. And then guess what? You get even more of a delay and now you're getting a ticket. Suddenly, patience doesn't sound like such a bad thing, does it? But I digress. Let's stay on topic. So back to the power of patience. You might be asking me, how is patience going to help me with success? Okay. Well, let me use myself as an example because, like I said, I have a ton of stories and it's safer that way instead of using other people. So I'm going to use my touring experience once again. I know you're almost sick of hearing it, but it's pretty exciting to me. Like, how often do you get a chance to travel the world and do what you love in front of thousands of people? But so, yeah, in regards to touring. Now, I remember being younger, teenage years, probably a little bit younger than that, saying to myself, I can't wait to go on tour. And then I would go on social media and I would see my peers in front of tens of thousands of people on tour, signing autographs and stuff. And I'm just like, I want to go on tour, man. What's really good? I'm ready. I know I can play. I know I can program. I know I can do all this stuff, but I'm ready to go on tour right now. Not realizing that I actually wasn't ready and that if they had put me on tour, it would have been really bad because I didn't have the discipline to learn the music properly. Neither did I have the skill set to perform it properly. So that would have been really bad. As it relates to production as well, I remember when I was first starting off and all my production that I did, I actually used a keyboard. I didn't use any of this software. I knew nothing about Pro Tools, Logic, or any of these other sophisticated DAWs that are out there now. All I knew was I'm just going to go on my keyboard and just program some drum loops and program some bass loops and a few synth and piano loops. And boom, I'm a producer. Not knowing that there are sophisticated softwares and DAWs out there that you have to put all of that music into, and then you have to do the mixing process, you have to arrange it, you got to do the mastering, and so on, all the different steps that are involved with it. So I remember being in my later teens, and I got an opportunity to get around some pretty, hardworking music producers. And there was one guy, and he was like really just trying to connect me with everybody because he saw that I had raw talent. But the way I brought in my samples of my beats, it was just like on a CD or a flash drive at the time. And I would just play like, a loop that was like a minute and 30 seconds. I'd play it for them and they'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds hot. You just need to get it mixed. Send me the stems. So I'm like, what do they mean by stems? Like all these beats that I have, they're like on a keyboard somewhere in my house, like really old school, something from the 80s almost. It's on a keyboard in my house. I don't know nothing about stems. Thankfully I didn't let them know that, I just kind of hung around them. I was like, oh, I can't give you the stems right now because I'm still working on it. It's not finished. But I was able to hang around them more. And then I realized one day, like, wow, I'm doing this completely wrong. I need to start from scratch all over again and just, do this the right way. So fast forward, I took a few years. I learned my craft. I got better at it. I started doing it similar to the way other people were doing it. I don't want to say I started doing it like everybody else because I still have my own style. But, I'm working with a workflow that's able to be used by other people. So if I'm going to send out a session, anybody else can open it up and jump right into it. I could send out a Pro Tools session, Logic, Studio One, whatever, and people can jump into it and add their little elements or mix and master. But that patience, if I didn't have patience and say, okay, I'm going to take a step back and start all over, I would look like a complete fool trying to go out and say, hey guys, check out my beats. Okay, where are your beats at? Oh, it's on this keyboard in my room. But the $1 million question is, how can patience help you with success? Okay, well, it's very simple. I'm going to break it down. In order to be successful, you have to be patient. If you're patient, you will be successful. That's about as simple as I could, break it down to you. So pretty much you'll be able to tolerate delay. Now, when you're working towards success, there's nothing but delay. If you want to start a business, your business isn't just going to start booming overnight. In fact, it tends to take a few years before business is actually booming. When I first started my business, I was really sad. I was hard on myself because I knew I had all this potential and I knew I had a decent amount of resources at my disposal. But business just was not lighting up the way I had expected it to light up. Now, this is where patience had to come in. I didn't have anybody standing over my shoulder saying, hey, man, just be patient. It's going to work out in the next few years. No. I had to say to myself, okay, well, I want this to work out. I have to remain consistent and just be patient until I start to see progress. And before you know it, I was able to see progress. Now, had I said to myself, okay, nothing's working out and right now I'm really broke, I'm going to need some money, and I just shut everything down, I would have missed out. I would not have been able to get all that I have right now and see what the end result is going to be because I'm not at the end yet. I know that there's still more in store for me. I know that there's a lot more growing that I'll be doing, and there's plenty more that's coming in the near future. So I'm not even worried about that at this point. It gets scary at times, but I just remind myself, hey, I have to have patience. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit and go over the delay portion one more time, because I did, mention that there are positive delays, but then there's also a negative delay, as we all know, something that would hinder you from getting to your goal. And if that's what you're experiencing, then you should probably work harder towards reaching your goal, or just pray about it. Definitely pray about it. Pray that God releases all that's in store for you within the time frame that He would have it to be released to you without delay. I just wanted to clear that up, just in case anybody was wondering. But yeah, I actually have one more final story, if you will, that I'm going to tell you about. And it was something that happened to me a few days ago, which really inspired me to speak on the power of patience. Now, I was leaving the gym. You know, I try to work out 3 to 5 days a week, try to keep fit. I was leaving the gym and I was taking the normal route home. Now, the gym to my house is maybe like 8 or 9 minutes. It's no more than that. So it's a pretty quick ride. You know, it's not really a lot of time to, you know, get into some music or even to have your car warm up like that. So yeah, I was driving back from the gym, 8 or 9 minute drive. I noticed that there was some traffic, between the two towns. So between one town and the town that I live in, there was traffic. It was near a gas station that's like right by the border. So I'm, you know, hitting the brakes. I'm like, okay, what exactly is going on? Because this time of the day, there shouldn't be any traffic. You know, it's usually pretty smooth at this time. Why is there traffic? Why is there a delay? So I'm like edging forward because, you know, there's traffic. It's just about staying still. And I'm noticing all of these cars in front of me and behind me are turning around to seek an alternate route. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, I could do the same thing. I could turn around and try to get home that way. But this is really like the best route to my house. Like it's just a straight shot. And if I try to take another route, I'm going to probably set myself back a little bit longer. And I kind of don't want to do that because I'll be burning gas and all the above. And it's just annoying. It's getting hot out. And yeah, all of that. So I just sat there patiently. More and more cars were jumping out of line, turning around, trying to find an alternate route. I look in my rearview mirror. I see somebody tapping into their phone or their iPad, trying to, you know, just GPS a different route. So I'm like, nah, I'm just going to wait it out a little bit longer. Okay, I waited it out a little bit longer, and eventually the cops that were blocking the road had moved. The cop moved out the road, and we were able to proceed as normal once again. The total time in which it took for us to proceed as normal was no more than 1:30 or 1:45 seconds. So now, all of those people who were being impatient, who jumped out of line and turned around to find an alternate route, if they were going into the same town I was going into, which I know they were because they were on that same road, they just got set back possibly 10 to 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I just sat there and waited 1:30 seconds, and I was able to proceed as normal. Now, can you imagine if I had jumped out and followed them? I probably would have been furious because now I'm burning gas. I'm trying to find a different route that I'm not used to taking. And traffic cleared up after 1:30 seconds. Do you see how important that was for me to be patient? I was able to tolerate delay and not get angry over it. I sat there. I said, it's going to be okay. It's a nice day out. It is kind of hot, but let me put my windows down and see what's going on. To backtrack a little bit, what was actually happening was I think they were doing something either with some electric lines or something along those lines because there was a helicopter flying above and there was something attached to it. So I'm just looking up like, oh, cool helicopter. Ha ha ha. But, yeah, that was what caused the delay. And it was only 1:30 seconds. I'm going to leave you with this. If you're able to show patience, if you're able to be patient, during your time of delay or during your time of suffering and during a time of trouble without getting angry or upset or giving up or throwing in the towel, then you're on the right path for success. Success doesn't happen overnight, and we all need to be patient and wait for everything to happen. It's all going to happen in due time, and God has the perfect timing for us. Now, with that said, be patient, but don't be lazy. Continue to work towards it. Continue to work towards your goals. Continue to come up with more ideas. Continue to inspire others while you yourself are being inspired. Continue, just be patient, work hard, work smart, and just you'll find success, or better yet, success will find you. Thank you for all of your time today. Thanks for tuning in to this podcast. I hope it blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. I hope it inspired you. Hey, if you like it, be sure to click the share button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Church D. Check out my website. I'll put the link in the description below. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, friends.